We're often taught that happiness is something we find with someone else. It's that being alone is something to avoid, a sign that something's missing or broken. But here's the truth. Your relationship with yourself is the foundation for every other part of your life. And learning to be happy alone doesn't mean you'll always be alone. It means you stop depending on someone else to make you feel whole, because real peace comes when you can enjoy your own company. When solitude becomes a sanctuary, not a sentence. This video is your guide, not just to survive being alone, but to thrive in it. Part 1. Shift your perspective on loneliness. We've been trained to fear being alone. Movies romanticize the idea that happiness begins when someone else enters the picture. Social media shows couples, friendships, families, always together. So when we find ourselves alone, whether it's for a day, a season, or a stretch of life, it can feel like something is wrong. It's like we failed some invisible test of connection. But here's the truth. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. Being alone is a state. Loneliness is a feeling. And the two don't always live in the same room. You can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely. You can be in a relationship and still feel deeply disconnected. You can be completely alone and feel completely whole. But that shift doesn't happen by accident. It starts in your mind. Instead of seeing solitude as a punishment, start seeing it as power. Because the ability to be alone with yourself, to sit in your own silence without reaching for distraction, is one of the most underrated forms of strength. This is your space to reconnect with who you are beneath the noise. To ask yourself, what do I think? What do I want? What matters to me, not to them, not to the crowd, not to the world? So many people never ask those questions. They fill every moment with conversation, chaos, or company, not because they crave connection, but because they're afraid of what silence might say. But silence isn't scary, it's honest. And when you stop running from it, you realize it has something powerful to offer. Clarity. The truth is, when you learn to enjoy your own company, you stop settling for connections that drain you just so you're not alone. You stop saying yes to people who only want parts of you. You stop chasing people who never chose you in return, because you already have someone who chooses you every day. Every breath, aloneness becomes freedom when you stop seeing it as a whole and start treating it like a home, a place where you get to rest, reset, rebuild, without performance, without pretense, without pressure to be anything other than what you are. You're not lacking anything just because no one else is in the room. You're not behind just because you're walking this stretch of life solo. You're exactly where you need to be. Learning to stand on your own so that when someone does come along, it's not because you need them, it's because you choose them. And that's where real happiness begins. It's not in being with someone, but in being enough right here, right now, just as you are. Part 2. Reconnect with your interests and passions. One of the hidden gifts of being alone is that you finally have the space to hear your own voice again. Because when you're constantly around people adjusting to their preferences, compromising your time, bending your identity to fit into someone else's life, it's easy to forget what you actually like, what lights you up, what feels like you. So much of our energy goes into pleasing, performing, or belonging, that when we're suddenly alone, we feel lost. We don't know what to do with the quiet. We don't know how to fill the space, but that space isn't empty, it's open. And now you get to fill it with things that are truly yours. So ask yourself, what did I love as a child before anyone told me who to be? What hobbies, interests, or creative outlets have I let go of to make room for someone else? What am I curious about that I've never given myself permission to try? It doesn't have to be impressive or productive. It just has to feel like you. Pick up that book. Start that hobby. Paint, even if you're bad at it. Learn the language. Dance in your kitchen. Go to the movies alone. Cook something just for yourself. Because when you start reconnecting with your passions, you stop waiting for someone else to bring you joy. You become the source. You become interesting to yourself. And that's where confidence begins to grow. Not from someone else validating you, but from the inside out. You start to remember, I'm not boring. I'm not behind. Just haven't prioritized me in a long time. And now that I am, everything feels different. The days don't feel empty anymore. They feel intentional. You don't feel lonely every time you're by yourself. Sometimes you actually look forward to it because you're rediscovering the version of you that isn't tied to anyone else. The version that's alive, curious, and capable of feeling. Full on their own terms. So don't wait for someone else to bring passion into your life. Create it. Claim it. Let being alone become your permission slip to explore, express, and enjoy the things you were always meant to love. Part 3. Get comfortable in your own company. When was the last time you truly enjoyed being with yourself? No background noise? No phone in your hand? No one else in the room? Just you. For a lot of people, that idea sounds uncomfortable, maybe even scary. Because when everything goes quiet, the stuff we've been ignoring tends to get loud. The thoughts, the memories, the doubts. That's why we keep ourselves busy, distracted, always in motion. We treat stillness like a threat. But here's the truth. If you're always trying to escape your own company, you'll always be chasing happiness in other people. Real peace, the kind that sticks around even when no one else does, comes from learning to be okay with you. It doesn't happen overnight. Happens through small, daily moments where you start showing up for yourself the way you wish someone else would. Make your space a place you want to be. Light the candle. Play the music you love. Make your bed like you're welcoming a guest, only this time, the guest is you. Take yourself out for coffee. Go on a solo walk. Journal in the park. Yes, it might feel weird at first, but slowly that weirdness becomes ease. Stop caring about how it looks and start noticing how it feels. And what you'll find is this. You're not boring. Not too much. You're not lacking anything. You're just unfamiliar with your own presence because you've never been taught how to enjoy it. Talk to yourself kindly. Laugh at your own jokes. Sit in silence without needing to fill it. Build rituals that are just for you. A morning routine, nighttime wind down, a playlist that matches your mood. You'll begin to feel more rooted, more stable, because now you don't rely on someone else to regulate your joy. Learning to create it quietly, gently, independently. The more time you spend with yourself, the more you realize how much you've been missing. And when you finally feel safe in your own company, you stop settling for the kind of company drains you just so you won't feel alone. Because you're not desperate anymore. You're discerning. You're not avoiding solitude. You're owning it. And that is freedom. Part 4. Set goals that come from within. When you're alone, you finally get the space to ask, what do I actually want? Not what your parents expected, not what your friends are doing, not what society says success looks like. Just you. Your desires, your dreams, your direction. But here's the thing. For most of our lives, our goals have been shaped by others. We chase approval, recognition, belonging. We check boxes because we're supposed to, not because they mean something to us. And then one day you wake up and realize you've built a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. Being alone is your chance to rewrite that, to stop outsourcing your purpose, to start listening inward instead of looking outward. So ask yourself gently, without pressure, gives what lights me up, even if no one's watching? Gives what goals would I still pursue if I couldn't post about them? Gives what matters to me, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else? You don't need to have it all figured out, but you do need to get honest about what's actually yours. Maybe your goal is to feel more peaceful, to build something meaningful, to heal a part of yourself no one else can see, to spend more time in nature, or create art, or finally start that thing you've been afraid to try. It doesn't have to be flashy. It just has to feel real. Because when your goals come from within, your motivation changes. You're no longer running to prove something. You're not driven by fear of falling behind or fear of being alone. You're guided by alignment, by a deep, quiet knowing that you're becoming who you were always meant to be. And when the days get hard, because they will, those inner goals are what keep you going. Not because someone is clapping for you, but because you know it's right. Because you believe in it. Because it's yours. So give yourself permission to dream again on your own terms. Write goals that feel like home, that don't depend on anyone's opinion but your own. Because when you chase what's truly meaningful to you, you don't just build a better future, you build a stronger relationship with yourself. And that is the foundation of everything.